Before you get into this powerful content and this conversation, I need y'all to do me a favor. Hit that subscribe button on the channel because that's the best way you're going to stay up to date with everything that's going on. Like, share, comment, review, and let me know what's going on, people. Yo, before we get into powerful conversations on this page, I need y'all to do me a favor. Head over to Instagram, free platform. I'm posting tons of free content each and every moment I can. Instagram Reels, Instagram posts, Instagram stories. Let's go. Continue the conversation. A lot of the people that I get to interview and I talk to and things like that all come from different worlds and different realms and businesses and things like that. So
Yeah.
when you say about all the things that you just unpacked there, as a podcaster, it's like, well, I got to write some notes down because it's all about building. You know what I mean? I tell that a lot of times to people. It's all about building, build, 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 build.
Yeah.
And it's personal development also too. Everything we go through.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And all that good stuff. What would you say are three tips you could provide the listeners to help them understand the power that they hold when it could be making these transitions from working world corporate coming over into the personal brand and things like that?
Well, let me run you through this little exercise.
Do it.
And so I'm going to set you up. When I was just starting out in my career, I misspoke a little bit. I said my entire career has been in magazines. My beginning of my career was in newspapers. I started out as a community newspaper reporter. And boy, I loved newspapers. I had aspired to be a newspaper reporter. I became a newspaper reporter. People would ask me, what do you do? I'd say, I'm a newspaper reporter. I loved it. It was my thing. It was my identity. And then 2 or 3 years in, I said to myself, I'm in trouble because newspapers are very unstable. Also, frankly, I don't enjoy being here as much as I thought I would. And I think I have to leave. But I've spent all this time framing my identity around newspaper reporter. And if I leave that job, what am I? Because if my identity is newspaper reporter, I'm not a newspaper reporter. What am I? And I left. I ended up getting into magazines. I made the same mistake. I just sort of shifted over into thinking, well, now I'm a magazine person. But, magazines have had their ups and downs. There have been plenty of times where I thought about leaving magazines too. Eventually, I realized I needed a different way of thinking about myself. Entrepreneurs provide that way of thinking because here's something entrepreneurs do. They do not identify with their what, they identify with their why. The what is the newspaper reporter. The what is the magazine editor. The what is just the thing that I'm doing, the product of my work. That is my what I do. That's not who you are. You have to understand why you do something. What is at your core? What is the thing that can spawn a million different whats? Because that's the thing that's unchangeable. Rory, you're talking about people who might be leaving their jobs or just thinking about how to expand what it is that they're doing, expand their footprint. And I think that one of the reasons that it will be hard for people to do that is because they identify too much with what they do at work. I remember talking to this guy, Greg Fleischman, who's the CEO of a company called Foodsters. They make baking mixes and other sweets. And they were going to go through a big change. They spent like a year or something preparing for this big change, big rollout. It's going to redefine the company. Very exciting. And then like the kind of unexpected, the pandemic happened, actually is what happened. And they were shaken and they didn't know what to do, what direction to go in. And they decided to abandon, for complicated reasons that you don't need to know, abandoned their new product line, or they put it on hold for a while and go back to the old stuff. Right. And I asked Greg, was that a bummer? Was that difficult to do? You were excited for these new things. You were excited to transform the brand. And now you have to think of this other way of moving forward. And he said, no, because it goes back. These are his words. It goes back to, why do you start a brand to begin with? For us, we bring people joy with sweet baked goods. That's what it's all about. Bring people joy. And that is the why, right? That's the what would be, we make this one particular kind of product and we only do that. And if that is disrupted, then I don't know what I'm doing with myself, and I don't know why I'm showing up to work every day. But if my why is something so deep as we bring people joy with sweet baked goods, well, there are a million ways to do that. There's a million products that you can make. You can try one thing, and if it stops working, you could try something else, because it's about bringing joy to people. That is so much deeper. So here's the exercise. I promised an exercise. Here's what I think you should do. Imagine I'm going to run through a scenario 3 times. Somebody comes up to you at a party and they ask what you do. The first thing you're going to do is you're going to answer your what, right? I'm a newspaper reporter. And that's your tasks. What we're talking about is your tasks. So let's put that up on the board, your tasks. And now run it again. Somebody comes up to you at a party and they ask what you do. Look at the board. You can't say whatever you just said. Can't talk about your tasks. Scratch it off. What are you going to talk about? You're going to talk about your skills. You're going to talk about the thing that enables the tasks. So I would have said, well, what I do is I go out and I'm really good at drawing information out of people and then processing it in a way that is useful to others. Okay, cool, great. That's my skills. Digging deeper here. Now let's do it one more time. Somebody comes up to you at a party and they ask what you do. Can't talk about your tasks, can't talk about your skills. Now what are we going to talk about? Now we're going to talk about our core. Talk about our why. Talk about the thing that drove us to develop the skills that enable us to do the tasks. That's what we're talking about. That's a hard thing for people to identify if they haven't thought about it before. But I'm telling you, that's where you need to be. It can be a simple sentence. It could be just a few words. Mine, I tell stories in my own voice. That's what I figured out for myself. I tell stories, not magazine stories, not newspaper stories in my own voice. I'm not writing in somebody else's voice. I'm not serving somebody else's mission. Me. That's what I do. That's my core. So that means that if after our conversation right now, I check my inbox and it turns out that Entrepreneur Magazine has fired me. I mean, I hope they don't, but if they fire me, that's okay, because I identify as I tell stories in my own voice. I can do that in so many other ways. I have now liberated myself from feeling like I am at the whims of change. Instead, I understand my value and I understand how to build from it. That is the way to make that kind of transition.
Wow. That was good. That was good. I feel the goosebumps right now. And the power of storytelling. This is why, for the last 5 years I've been doing this podcast, is bringing powerful guests, men and women, that can storytell like no other. So that little piece there is just, it's so rewarding. And the audience, they're going to be like, yeah, I get what he means there, and things like that. You talk about your podcast. Yo, before we get into powerful conversations on this page, I need y'all to do me a favor. Head over to Instagram, free platform. I'm posting tons of free content each and every moment I can. Instagram Reels, Instagram posts, Instagram stories. Let's go. Continue the conversation.